Okay, so it's great to see everybody here this morning, and you're all very welcome. Apologies, we had a gap in our network meetings over the last couple of months, but that was due to family bereavement. So we're back on track with these meetings, hopefully into the future. And it's great to see so many on this morning, and we're delighted this morning to be joined by an expert in the area of financial well-being. Linda Coughlin is a coach with the Bank of Ireland and very experienced, and I believe excellent. I've heard some people that have listened to her presentation, and her information is invaluable. So that's why Linda has kindly let us record it so we can share this after the meeting. So I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to hand it over. If everybody could just go on mute during Linda's presentation, that would be great. Following the presentation, we will do our networking piece, so everyone will get to introduce themselves and their business. So I'm going to hand it over to Paul Muldowney. Paul is a director on the board of the Chamber, and he is also the manager in the Bank of Ireland here in Portlaoise. So I'll let you take it over there, Paul, and introduce Linda this morning.
Lovely. Thanks, Bernie there.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the pressure off me there as well when you made Linda the expert and just handed over to me. So that's totally taking the pressure off me. So look, I suppose, first of all, I want to introduce Linda. Linda Coughlin is a long-time colleague of mine. Linda is a qualified financial advisor and a financial well-being coach. I love those words, well-being.
Yeah.
Coach. So she's with Bank of Ireland, and Linda's going to speak to you today around financial well-being and how it's important in supporting people in making well-informed choices and encouraging financial responsible behaviour while having a positive impact on all of our long-term financial security. It's a very relevant, obviously, at the minute. So just without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you, Linda, the expert.
That's great. Thanks, Paul. So just, folks, my camera just switches off briefly for a second while I just bring the slides up here, and you might just give me the nod when they appear on screen. So
Yeah.
I can kick it off.
Good to go.
Everybody can see that, yeah? Fantastic,
Yeah.
Great. So good morning, everybody, and listen, thanks a million for taking the time to join the session this morning, and a huge thank you to Bernie as well for allowing us in to speak with you all. So just before we start, because this talk is being recorded, just a little disclaimer that I need to call out. So this is a live webinar. It is being recorded today, which is Wednesday the 26th of May, and will be available for viewing up to close of business Wednesday the 23rd of June, right, 2021. So we do confirm that now any reference and information provided relating to Bank of Ireland product and our services is correct and up to date as of today's date. However, should this recording be viewed post live date, any reference and information provided relating to Bank of Ireland product and our services may not be current and up to date. Okay, so just a reminder that the recording won't be available after close of business on Wednesday, the 23rd of June, 2021. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick into it straight away, but just a few housekeeping items. Look, we'll have a quick live Q&A at the end of it as well, but feel free as well to submit any questions that you have in the chat function. And also I will be sending on supporting documents and links, and those links are safe to open. That will make sense as I go further through the presentation, but I'll get them out to yourselves either directly, or else Bernie might kindly just send it on my behalf, if that's okay. But before we kind of start, I just want to ask Paul to come in and just to speak to you about the Bank of Ireland service changes, which is going to commence in September 2021, September this year. So Paul, do you mind very much just coming in with regards to this for a second? Are you on mute? Sorry.
Just as you said that there, what happened? Only my phone goes down to 20%. So
no.
That was a really good time, but it's grand to have it plugged back in again. So look, I suppose, look, there's Linda, as you just referred to there are a number of changes, obviously, and the biggest change of all from a service perspective is a number of our branches are closing. If we look at Laois, Offaly as our particular cluster that we're currently talking from at the minute, we're moving from 12 branch network to a 6 branch network from September onwards, which obviously enough has a major impact on number one on our customers, and number two on our staff as well. So that has a massive impact. I suppose we all know the reasons why that branches are closed, and we're told, and I was just listening to a guy there, I don't have his name, he was on Radio 1 News this morning from the Banking Federation, and they were speaking about 77% of people are now transacting their financial transactions online. So I suppose that would be a strong indication of, number one, in any business, why would businesses close down a physical premises? So like the majority of our transactions, even though we express pure hatred of having to do it online and or being forced in a sense to do it online, the natural tendency at the minute is to go down the online route. And the other stat that they gave out there this morning was that the usage of checks, which we all love our checks, and especially anyone in the agri sector, like I don't know how people in the agri sector will ever survive without checks, but there's a 50% drop over the last 1.5 to 2 years in the usage of checks, which is a massive change in the Irish psyche in particular. So that's the major impact from a frontline perspective and from, I suppose, our interaction perspective. I suppose that probably the one message that I get out to, and I have direct experience of this, is there's some things are not changing, and the things that are not changing are your local branch manager that is still on the phone, in contact with people on a daily basis. My phone is hopping constantly, and that's why you'll probably hear me going in and out on this, because people are coming in, sending in messages looking for, be it business lending, looking for updates on mortgages and so on. So there is that contact is still there. So your branch manager will still be there covering the areas that there's no branch in, number one. There is also business advisors still on the ground. So even though I give you, for instance, one of my branches that's closing down is Mount Rath, which is a really strong agri hinterland for us, and obviously a lot of other businesses as well. Just because we don't have a physical branch there doesn't mean that we're still not very much proactive and on the ground. We are, and I suppose that's the key message that I want to get out there. From a day-to-day perspective, as you will hear on the radio, An Post will be carrying out your day-to-day transactions, as in your lodgements and your withdrawals and so on, from a cash perspective. And then the larger branches, the likes of Portlaoise, Port Arrington, Mount Mellick, just naming a couple there, we're still open. At Belease, we're still going to remain open, and we still will be there to service day-to-day cash needs and transaction needs, transfer or transfers in or salary payments and all that side of it. So what I will say is, most important is that your branch will be reaching out to you as a customer. We will still be on the ground, branch managers, business advisors, premier advisors, one-to-one advisors. We will still be on the ground. We will be contactable. And one thing you will note about, say, if, for instance, even myself, you don't get a free phone number to contact me. You get my direct mobile. So I suppose accessibility is important. We're very well aware of it. We're all business people. We're all human beings. We all operate within the community. So we know what's needed to maintain that relationship. So that'll be our number one priority. And what I will say is, anyone that's listening there, I'm going to be cheeky here. I'm going to hand you out my mobile number now. If you have a pen in front of you and you have any concerns, and if I can allay any concerns to you, write down this number. So it's 087 6139 952. That's 087 6139 952. I would be more than delighted to try and guide you through the branch changes that are happening over the next number of months. Will I hand back to you, Linda?
Great, that's great. Thanks, Paul. So Paul, as well, if you want to throw the mobile number into the chat function so people can actually write it down from there, just in case you missed that, guys, as well, just as a precautionary measure. At least you'll have his direct phone number so you can give him a buzz at any stage. So guys, I suppose this morning what I'm going to cover off is, like, what is financial wellbeing? The basics of financial wellbeing for small business owners, then the business lending basics, which is kind of giving you an overview of the Bank of Ireland's loan approval process, and then what supports are there in place for you and your financial wellbeing. But really, it's important that, you know, I let you know, or I describe to you what financial wellbeing is and what is it all about. Well, really, essentially, in Bank of Ireland, our purpose is to enable our customers colleagues and communities to thrive. But the reality is that thriving means different things for different people, right? So really, to establish a solid foundation of overall well-being, you need to kind of incorporate the 8 dimensions of well-being, which includes, it ranges from your physical to your mental, and that would include also financial. And like, it's no secret that financial stress can lead to many health issues such as migraines, depression, or ulcers, and it can also have a huge impact on the things like our work performance, our sleep, and concentration. So last June, when we emerged from the first lot of the restrictions, the bank and RITSE actually conducted research in relation to what people were most worried about. So contracting COVID-19, their actual health, and the economy were the top 3 answers, but then their personal financial well-being was actually came in at number 4, and that was ahead of employment, mental health, and at the time Brexit would have been looming, so they were worried about that. So really, for us, supporting consumers and communities to better manage and improve their own financial well-being is more critical now than ever. So essentially, to put it quite simply, financial well-being is very much closely linked to our behaviours. And what I mean by behaviours, it's our financial behaviours. Like, things that we would ask people is, do you actually understand and know what your saving habits are? Do you know what your spending restraint is? With regards to credit card, are you able to manage that particular debt? Do you have any specific preferences for types of credit? But just, it's important as well to remember that like, these types of behaviours can each be changed to have a positive impact and to improve your financial well-being, regardless of your level of income. So really, essentially what it is how we actually spend and how we save, how we borrow and how we plan will actually either build towards or detract from our resilience and financial well-being. So from a personal perspective, financial well-being is all about what you do with your pot of money, not the actual size of it. So what I mean by that is that we're able to we're making sure that we're able to cover things like our day-to-day expenses, that we do plan for our future, because it's important, right? We have to incorporate our finances there, but we're also able to cope with the unexpected things that can potentially happen. Whereas business financial well-being is all about embedding daily processes that help a business to build resilience and pursue opportunities. Okay, so really, like, a small business is financially healthy when it knows how to manage, has plans in place, and has capital. So with those 3 specific headings, like when you're looking at managing, it's all about meeting financial obligations, maintaining sufficient cash reserves, and maintaining a comprehensive financial management system. And then under your planning, it's all about having a plan in place for significant business risk, looking at your cash flow variability, and having appropriate insurance in place. And then lastly, under the capital heading, it's all about having access to affordable, timely credit, and having a sustainable debt load, and having access to investment capital. So when we talk about business financial well-being and embedding these daily processes, like, some of the questions that we will put to small businesses, focusing on these 3 headings, would be things like, for example, if you lost a major client or had a significant business disruption, have you sufficient cash reserves to weather that storm? Okay. Secondly, how often do you take time out to plan for significant business risks? And thirdly, is there, cash flow variability in the business? And what I mean by that is seasonality, for example, and how do you plan for that? Because that does impact certain businesses. And as your business grows, have you access to affordable, timely credit, including working capital and longer term funding? And then lastly, have you a funding plan in place, mapping out how the growth of your business will be funded going forward, and where that funding is actually going to come from? Okay, so like, we do recognize that small business owners are under constant pressure to generate revenue, grow their business, hire, train and motivate employees, and drive economic growth in their local communities while protecting their personal and business finances. And like, it's important to call out that never were small business owners put to the test as they have been in the last 14 months, but in particular the last 5 months. And really, depending on the type of business model and learning to adapt that model where possible, it has been really, really challenging. Okay, but a recent stat that was taken from Champion Green on their social media platforms, they posted a quote from Sven Spolen Burns stating that if actually each of us spent an extra €20 a week in a small business over the next 3 months, it would boost our local economy by €875 million. So that's a significant kind of stat there. So the one thing I would say to you is that you need to keep in mind that you and your business could be on the right track financially, but then something unexpected does happen, right? And like, it's important to call out that we are all financially vulnerable to some of three influences that will impact our financial well-being. Why? Well, for one, we're all going to retire from work at some point, and this will often mean less income immediately. So, but there are other issues that arise, including a range of life events, like perhaps a parent becomes ill and needs support. Perhaps there's a loss of employment for any number of reasons, or perhaps, a new child and one parent decides to take time out of work. The reasons are many, but the impact is consistent, potentially causing a reduction in the household income. And other factors then also relate to health and family breakdown, and they have a major impact on financial well-being and can lead to enormous financial stress. So it's important to recognize those challenges and use whatever available resources you can to prepare, and that would include things like knowledge and financial supports as well. Okay, like we do, as I said earlier, understand the endless demands on business owners, from the likes of setup to operations, staffing, costs, revenue and profit, but with the money facts of life that are quoted here, and they are globally recognized, there are key items that you simply have to consider so you can reduce your financial vulnerability for if and when these events actually do happen. And as with a personal plan, we can prepare to an extent, and hopefully these things won't impact us, but if they do, like, we need to have considered them in advance and have some plans in place. Okay. So that kind of gives you a quick overview of what financial well-being is all about and how important it is, both from a personal and a business perspective. So now I'm just going to bring you through what the basics of the financial pillars of a small business owners. Now, the thing I would say to you is that, like, we appreciate that, there are many financial pillars, right, for small business owners, but we've actually kind of picked 4 in particular just to concentrate on. So you see them there. We've making your personal business finances visible separately, protecting personal and business credit profile, planning for the unexpected, and then manage your cash flow and having access to capital. So we specifically picked these 4 because it does help to support any business. Okay, so we're going to look at these just individually very quickly. So firstly, there, you're making your personal and your business finances visible separately. So, like, at a personal level, like, it is important to make income and expenses visible to make informed decisions. So when it comes to business separation of business income and business expenses from personal, that will actually provide a ready snapshot of your business performance. Okay, so that's kind of the main important key point there. But some amount of separation will always benefit the owner, as it's nearly impossible to fully understand the performance of a business without the information being readily available. So it'll certainly be more time consuming to get the information if the business and personal accounts are the same or highly intertwined. So in a personal capacity, what we recommend is establishing a rainy day fund of 3 to 6 months living expenses is what is globally recommended. And that can kind of seem like quite a lot, right? But however, you need to remember, something is better than nothing. Okay, and as there can be often so much there can be often be such an interconnection and interdependence between personal and business finances for small business owners, having that rainy day fund can actually provide an invaluable working capital cushion during volatile times. However, there is always a risk. So using your personal savings to cover a business expense shortfall can actually leave the household exposed when certain life events or unplanned costs happen. So access to business finance can actually ensure the household situation is better protected, right? So in order to, help you with separating your personal and business finances, we do have 2 separate templates. We have the budget planner template that's available to download for free and is available to absolutely everybody. You don't need to be a Bank of Ireland customer to utilize that. And we also have a cash flow template, and that you can download and utilize. So I can send the links on as well in the supporting email that I sent following this talk, so that you have direct access to them. But just like from a business perspective, we just always recommend having a separate business account, because it not only supports you with ready access to the incomings and outgoings of the business, it can also provide a much easier set of information for accounting purposes, and also if and when you need it, credit decisions. So it is perhaps that one area where business owners may not give due consideration but the visibility really of your business finance operation is a key part of effective management over the long term. And we would have seen it, like Paul and myself would have seen it, where, you know, a lot of small businesses do kind of have their business account mixed with their personal account. And so you know, it really is highly recommended to separate them. Okay. So the second then is the second pillar that there is protecting you and your business credit profile. So on a personal level, currently we have the CCR, so which is the Central Credit Register report, and then the presence of the ICB, which is the Irish Credit Bureau. And that incorporates an actual credit score. So the most commonly sources used to get the necessary information on businesses is held on Solo Check and Stubbs. And just for those of you that don't know, Solo Check is where the directors of the company's credit is checked, and then Stubbs gives the business credit performance. And so that would be things like the debt that you have you made consistent payments, etc. However, you need to understand that when it comes to a business, the risks are even greater. So why? Well, on personal credit reports, any information that's stored in you, which would have, you know, what loans you have in your name, how you pay, the repayment amount, etc. It is all protected and can only be accessed through permissible purpose. In other words, that you have to give permission to another party, be it that it's the bank or another lender, to access those reports. But when it comes to a business, business credit information, there's a lot more freely available, you know, information on you. So like everyone you deal with can actually check you out on the likes of social media. They can ask through, you know, customers, existing customers that you have, through suppliers that you deal with, etc. And they can read reviews and decide whether they do or don't want to do business with you. Okay, so you just need to bear that in mind. It's important to protect your business really in every aspect. Okay. And then with regards to the third pillar there, planning for the unexpected. So like in the slides, it is important to know the challenges that present on both personal and business lives on a highly regular basis. So as I had mentioned earlier, on the personal front, it was the 3 money facts of life: the loss of income, loss of health, and relationship breakdown. And they can undermine your personal financial well-being, but this extends to business also. So while we may think of business having a totally different set of challenges, those challenges are simply an extension of the personal ones. Okay. And on this, it is important as a business owner to identify those risks and plan accordingly. So a useful tool that we would recommend to support your business is Pestle, which it helps you to look at the risks from a political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental perspective. So basically, that tool actually helps you to challenge absolutely everything around you. So an example of that would be like currency risk. You know, if you're buying and selling to the UK or US, the cost of imports and exports, and even the current pandemic as it is at the moment. Okay. And then finally, the last pillar there, which is quite an important one, is protect your cash flow. So you just need to remember that when it comes to your own business, each of you will have your own management style here, right? And I've listed just a couple of top steps, 5 tips really, that you might want to consider to protect your cash flow, right? So the top one there is, it's important, it relates to invoices, right? So it's really important that your client knows when to expect invoices from you. So when you sign a contract with a new client, make sure that they know that you'll be sending them an invoice on, for example, the last day of the month, okay? The second one there is consider implementing a late fee, and don't be afraid to do this. The best way to ensure that you can get prompt payment is by implementing that late fee. So have your details on your invoice and include it on the client's contract as well when they sign, okay? The third one there is don't spend it because you can write it off. Pause and consider, do you really need that new piece of equipment? For example, could this actually be better put to use to your cash reserves? And then the fourth one there is having a cash safety net is vital for your business. So in stable business sectors, a cash reserve of a couple of months of worth of your monthly outgoings, which are your payment obligations, actually might be sufficient here, okay? And then lastly, then every business needs to maintain an up-to-date cash flow forecast showing all expenses and income for the next 12 months ahead, to really understand when it actually might face cash flow shortages. Otherwise, the business actually risks, spending cash now that will be needed to pay, for example, suppliers or revenue in the not too distant future. Okay, so that kind of just covers off the basic kind of financial pillars really to do with businesses. So now I'm just going to go through the support shortly, but just to give you in particular an overview of the Bank of Ireland loan process and just the top tips that we would recommend to people with achieving, loan approval. So firstly, the top tips that we have, the primary tips that we would recommend is just to ensure that your regular payments, there are regular payments going into your account along with stable and or growing turnover. Make sure that you're accurate on your business turnover and have up-to-date accounts available. Okay, ensure that you've good overdraft management. So you're in credit basically for 30 days within the past year. Stay up to date on your payments, and that would include your suppliers, your loans, revenue, and credit cards. Practice good cash management just to cover short-term costs and expenses. And then the last one is very important, protecting you and your business credit profile. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the loan approval within Bank of Ireland and what we may look for. So there are many considerations taken into account when it comes to a business loan application. And as you can see in this slide, there's quite a lot. So you just need to remember that underwriters will be looking to get to know you and your business to ensure they offer you the most appropriate arrangements. So when a loan application is being assessed, here are just some of the things that I kind of picked out that the underwriters in Bank of Ireland take into account, right, that you just need to be aware of. So they look at your track record, they're going to look at your experience, they'll look for your business plan, your financial projections, your debtor quality, your knowledge of the market and appetite, and then your operational risk as well. So these are just really a few of what's detailed, but it's important to understand the factors that actually do go into a loan approval. And as you can see, it's quite a comprehensive list on this particular slide. Okay, so folks, just to kind of summarize what I've gone through so far. So really, it's important that you engage with your bank early and build your corporate knowledge and keep your bank informed in good times and bad times. Okay, make sure that your personal and business finances are visible separately by using, the templates that are there available. You don't necessarily have to use the Bank of Ireland templates. If there's another template that you use or an app that you use, absolutely, as long as you're using something for the personal budget and a cash flow template. Okay, protect your credit profiles, and that includes your personal and your business. Understand the risks and plan for them. Have a robust business plan that is updated on a regular basis. So be realistic, particularly around sales forecasting, and invest the time in completing market research as well. It's never a burden to seek out professional advice. Okay, as Paul had said there earlier, our door's open, you're going to have his direct line, please reach out to us. Okay, understand your ecosystem. So networking is key here, and just, make yourself aware of what supports are available and who can actually help. Hugely important to manage your cash flow. And then the last one then is keep the lines of communication open. So don't only just talk to your banker, right, when a problem arises. Include other stakeholders where applicable with your business. Okay. So before I go into the supports, just very quickly, I'm going to just want to bring you through business fraud prevention. And I suppose it's kind of timely as well, considering what happened to the Porter HSE. But there's just two other items there on the list. You can see I've listed business email compromise, vendor email compromise, payment redirection fraud, check overpayment, protect your business technology. But in particular, there's two that are quite are constantly in circulation. So the first one there is payment redirection fraud. So just be aware of it. Fraudsters pretending to be a supplier or service provider for your business in order to trick you into changing bank account payee details. So just to make you aware, this can come in by post format as well. It doesn't necessarily come in by email all the time. Fraudsters are quite clever. They'll send it in on fraudulent businesses headed paper, for example, requesting you to change account payee details. So the top tip I have here with this is don't take it at face value. Pick up the phone, ring the supplier or the service provider and ask them the question, have they sent you in an instruction to change their account payee details? Second one there is protecting your business technology, which kind of brings me into the ransomware attack in a moment. But just with regards to your business technology, that would include your mobiles, tablets, laptops, desktops, everything. Just make sure that they're safe. if you experience or recognize, you know, signs like the applications don't work properly, the system is slowing down, it freezes or crashes, there's unusual error messages, system performance deteriorates, or the browser toolbar changes, you need to contact your security service provider straight away. Okay, whatever you do, don't log into any online banking channels, and don't make any payments using card details either. If you find that your business technology may potentially, you're suspicious about it. With regards to the ransom attack, it's very sad to hear, like, it's horrific, to be honest, with the HSE, but look, you know, and it's a huge example of how disruptive and dangerous ransomware attacks can be, like, and just so that you're aware that over 90% of malware is delivered by email. But look, the top tips that we would have, you know, for people with regards to businesses, and this is no harm for those of you that have employees as well, is to reiterate this message to them. Be suspicious of any emails they get in that they're not expecting, number one, or come from an external source, right? Especially ones that contain, no, I know I'm going to be sending an email with links, they're safe, I've called that out earlier, but any particular emails that have attachments, unusual links, or including zip files, and just to be cautious around them. If in the event by accident they've clicked on the link, or they've opened a zip file or opened an attachment, the top 3 recommendations that we would have is switch off the machine immediately, disconnect any network cable, right, if it's connected to a network cable, and contact your security service provider immediately. Okay, so they're the top tips just to protect the business. Okay, and again, if you kind of suspicious of anything, you know, there's contact details there. You can take a screenshot of that if you wish. With regards to who to contact, in particular with Bank of Ireland, okay? And we do have a security zone on our group website that you can visit, and it has real-time samples of fraud that are out there from both a personal and a business level, okay? And it's updated on quite a regular basis, just to, you know, educate people on what to look out for and what's currently in circulation. So just going to go through the supports very quickly. So on our group website, we have our Business Financial Wellbeing Hub, and it's a dedicated hub, right, where it houses tools such as your cash flow template, your business plan template, sector related articles, products and service and information, and much more. But we also have a free financial health check, and you don't need to be a Bank of Ireland customer to take this particular 2-minute self-assessment test, right? So it's available there free on it. So I'll send the link of that as well afterwards. We also have a sector-related sections as well. Now I know the slide is quite blurry, but you know, regarding to be it agriculture, food and drink, healthcare, there's different sectors there as well that you can go in and visit and see, read certain articles on it, and see if there's any, you know, specific information that you're looking for. But also I want to call out, there's thinkbusiness.ie. I don't know if you've heard of this particular website. So it's powered by Bank of Ireland, and it's been created for Irish business owners and managers who are seeking information, resources and help on a range of business topics. So it just provides practical, actionable information and guidance in starting, growing and running a business. And it does offer guides, tools, templates, checklists, and a wealth of other content tailored to meet the needs of Irish business owners and managers. But it also showcases case studies with insights, tips and advice from other Irish startup entrepreneurs and business owners. So what we would recommend is, like, folks, it's free, and you do need to put in details like your email address, your name and a contact telephone number for one I can be aware of to sign up to it, but there's no charge, like, and it is a very, very useful tool. Okay, next then, just to make you aware, under our useful information section on the group website, we have a direct link to the government online support, right? So just to make you aware, when you click on that link, if you're going from the Bank of Ireland group website, it does take you directly to the government site, but you'll be asked to complete a quick questionnaire, and they will then let you know what supports are available to you within your sector. Okay, and then next, I know I'm going to call Paul in now in a moment. We've a dedicated hub just relating to Brexit. I know Brexit now is in situ, but just what free resources are available and the details of our Brexit helpline. But it's not here on the slide. Just we have a little bit of information relating to the COVID SPCI credit guarantee scheme that Paul is just going to come in for a quick second just to speak about it. Thanks, Paul.
You're just checking I'm alert there, really.
You're listening.
I had that kind of a drifting look in my eyes there. Just
Not at all.
But I'm only joking, fair play to you. That's great. Look, I suppose really from SME supports for Brexit and for the COVID schemes and all that. There are a couple of particular supports there. I'm not going to go into the long and the short and all that side of it. All I can say is, for any company or any business out there that have suffered over the last couple of years, be it through the change in their business because driven by Brexit, or change in their business driven by COVID, there are individual supports that are there. As again, look, go back to my number there again. If there's anybody interested in looking at some of those, for want of a better way of putting it, for people that are under pressure and businesses that are under pressure, they're a no-brainer in the sense that the interest rate that's on the loan, once we get the approval on it, is in around the 2.75 to 3%, which is, anyone that has business lending will know that's a really, really, really exciting rate. And I suppose the next drawback that we would normally have in lending would be security. So if people are borrowing, depending on the levels of funds that they're borrowing. So at the minute, if you borrow with Bank of Ireland anything over 120,000, you need to perform some sort of tangible security. By being accepted under either of the schemes, be it the Brexit scheme or the COVID scheme, security then is taken out of the equation. Why? And that's mainly because the government provides the security. So it's just a lot more streamlined. So anyone that has any questions on that, in particular in regards of their own business, there's supports there, there's very good interest rates there, there's a really strong take up on those, and there's a good appetite within the banks. And I'm not just talking about Bank of Ireland, in fairness, but within the banks, there is a very good appetite in supporting our customers through these times, be it the Brexit or through COVID. So look, I won't give you any more specifics on it, but because everything is so fluid in the sense that they're nearly shaped in around your business and your needs. And it'd be probably remiss of me, I wouldn't be giving you all the proper, I suppose, supports that they can do to you. So look, contact me if there's anything in particular that's stressing you, worrying you, be it working capital, be it ongoing financing needs, be it long-term planning needs. So just give me a contact and I'll certainly guide you in the right direction on those.
Thanks a million, Paul. That's great. So just the other supports then that are available, obviously, like your local EO office, Enterprise Ireland, the Citizens Information Bureau, SBCI as well, just to make you aware of it. You can take a screenshot. I'll just leave it there for a couple of seconds. So we're just kind of wrapping up now, folks, to the end, just to make you aware that for those of you that have employees within your business as well, we do run a financial wellbeing program relating to personal finances, right? So if you want to come and speak to me afterwards, or just give me drop me an email or give me a ring, I'll leave my details in the supporting email as well. Just so that you're aware, it's a program that's free. It's available to absolutely everybody. You don't need to be a Bank of Ireland customer to participate in it. We've 10 modules. So in other words, we've 10 topics. So they're covering things like budgeting, savings, borrowing. There's a range of topics there. I'm not going to get into it because I have a brochure specific to it. I'll send this leaflet on. And if you want to contact me directly, by all means, you can. And also just to make you aware, you do not have to sign up to the 10 modules. If there's only one module that you would like your employees to experience, that is absolutely fine as well. There's no requirement to sign up to all 10. Okay, it's just whatever we can do to support your employees as well in your business, because it's important, okay, from a wellbeing perspective. So you have Paul's details and my details there. I'll send them in the supporting email. And so we're going to go to a few questions if we have any. I'll stop the share.
Well, Linda, I might jump in there because I have two questions that were sent to me from someone that can't attend this morning. So the first one, basically this person is self-employed with a relatively new business venture. So with regards to applying for a first-time mortgage, what are the necessary steps and criteria that they'll need to take to ensure that the application is successful?
Okay. That's a good, it's a very good question. So I'm going to bring Paul in this as well, but I suppose it kind of goes back to my message is important as well. From especially a new business, it's important to understand that you need to make sure you're keeping your personal and business finances separately. That you have your separate business account, you have your separate personal account, because that will stand to you then when it comes to these type of personal finance obligations that you have. You know what I mean? When you're applying for a mortgage. So I'm going to hand you over to Paul, because I know Paul, would you agree with that and have other tips?
Well, you're sideways.
Yeah, I
on the
am.
screen. It's a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of gone side. Yeah.
It's one of those.
Just flip over your phone. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Look a little bit better.
That looks a bit better.
But yeah, okay. But anyway, thanks. I thought, Linda, you're going to take all my thunder there for a minute there. But in fairness, throughout your presentation, Linda, I think you covered a good bit of it. But I suppose, look, on a very basic level, I suppose, like really, yes, it's how important it is to have your business and your personal finances separate. Okay, it just makes things, I suppose, a lot more transparent and so on. But in the main, I think, in fairness, most businesses now at this stage have that done, because accountants are veering their businesses to make sure that everything is kept separate. There's the usual, I suppose, asks when we're looking at a mortgage. We look at 2 years financials, all right, and we do an average. So business lending to do an average of 3 years financials, depending on the business, how long it's established, and so on, to give us an indication, I suppose, to give us a more balanced view on the business. We look at maybe evidence of any other lending held. We look at simple things like your PPSN number, your tax confirmation from your accountant, say that tax is up to date, and so on. We look for 6-month statements if your accounts are held with any other bank. If they're held with us, we don't need that because we have obviously evidence of that. Other little things when it comes to mortgages, if you're renting at the minute, evidence of that. So like if you're renting and you're paying cash, unfortunately, we can't take that as evidence because there's no trail on that. So it's very important if you're paying rent that you're paying it through an account, even though, you know, we obviously try to suit everybody, but if you're trying to suit a landlord and you're paying cash and rent, it's not transparent. We can't actually, I suppose, use it as a calculation of what you're capable of doing. Savings really, really important. Your capacity to save, in particular, I suppose, the amount that you aim to borrow in a sense, the repayment of what that might be. And what I mean by that is, we do here, particularly in Port at the minute, but what we do is a mortgage prep meeting. So like we would meet businesses, we would meet individuals who are looking to maybe look for a mortgage, maybe 6 months down the road or a year down the road, and we prep them. So we position people into making sure that there is sufficient capital there to repay a loan. So it could be a simple thing like we have one product there that's a mortgage saver, and the mortgage saver gives you the capacity. We do calculations. So we say, right, you're buying a house, 300,000. You're going to aim to borrow 9%, which is the max loan to value. All right, 90%. So that means you need to come up with 10% of cash savings that you have built up. Okay, and then we need to also show that if you're borrowing, that's 270,000, for instance. If you're borrowing 270,000 over 30 years, we need to be able to establish that you're able to repay whatever the repayments are on that per month. All right, and that's where the mortgage saver comes in. So we basically start putting aside that amount every month, that when it comes to the application, it's such a strong message to be able to give, to say, yeah, look, I'm looking for this amount of money. I know I have to repay this amount per month. Here I've shown a clear way cut that I can actually pay that amount of money and still live on the back of it. So it's all about, I suppose, planning in advance. I just can't overemphasize how important the relationship with the bank is, the relationship with our advisors is to get yourself in the position of, be it business borrowings or mortgage and so on. So relationship, come into the bank, even if you're not ready to borrow, it's probably all the more important to come into us, sit down with us, and we'll put a plan in place that when it comes to 6 months' time or 12 months' time, you're ready to go with a mortgage. We'll have you positioned to that. So definitely, look, I suppose that's a very brief outline. Everybody's individual, Linda, and I suppose it's just, again, as I say, I want to keep emphasizing relationship. Pick up the phone, sit down with us. We'll get you ready. I promise you that. We'll get you ready, and we'll guide you along the road from there.
Yeah, because that's the important thing is that, like, you know, you're building that relationship with your bank as well. And like, it's never too early to start coming in and asking the questions. And like, it's important even for yourselves, like for family and friends, to get that message out there. It's important to go talk to your bank. What do I need to do to achieve this? Like, that's the key message really as such. Thanks a million, Paul.
That's great. Thanks very much. And I'm just conscious of time, so we might just move on from this section. And Linda and Paul, thanks very much for your insights. You got a lot into that presentation.
Sorry, guys, there's a lot.
But there's a lot. And look, thanks very much for letting us record it, because I'm sure people that might have missed bits and pieces, and for anyone that couldn't log on, it's invaluable. I've learned a lot myself this morning. But the key message is the relationships with your bank, they're still at the end of a phone. They're not just bots on a laptop. So that's good to hear. Thanks very much for that.